Up in the icy heart of the Arctic, Greenland just made a move that's sending shockwaves through the world stage. The world's biggest island handed a massive mining contract, not to the United States, but to our neighbor Canada. This isn't just another business deal, it's a bold power play. Canadian companies now get first dibs on Greenland's rare earth minerals, the stuff that powers everything from iPhones to F-35s. The US is reeling, especially former President Trump, who once floated the idea of buying Greenland outright. Trump slammed the move as a total betrayal, furious that America lost out to a close ally. But this is about more than just minerals. It's about power, influence, and the future of the Arctic. Billions of dollars are on the line, with Canadian firms now leading the charge in Greenland's untapped wilderness. For Greenland, it's a shot at real economic independence and a bigger voice on the world stage. For Canada, it's a huge win, locking down a critical supply chain and boosting its global clout. The US has always seen the Arctic as a top security priority, but this deal just tipped the scales. As the ice melts, new shipping lanes and resources are opening up, turning the Arctic into the next big frontier. Canada's now cemented its place as a major Arctic player, maybe at America's expense. All eyes are on Washington. How will President Biden respond? What does this mean for America's alliances and Arctic cooperation? Greenland's decision is redrawing the map of global power. The race for Arctic influence has never been more intense. The next moves from Washington and Ottawa could shape the Arctic and global politics for generations. Why is Greenland suddenly the center of attention? Beneath its ice lies a treasure trove of minerals. Rare earth elements, crucial for green tech, defense, and electronics, are the real prize. Global demand is soaring, but China dominates the supply chain, controlling over 80% of processing. The US and its allies are desperate for alternatives, and Greenland is one of the best bets. For Greenland, these resources are a path to economic and political independence from Denmark. Mining could transform its economy, but there's a catch. Environmental protection is a top concern. Greenlanders want development, but not at the cost of their fragile Arctic ecosystem. The government sought a partner who would respect both the land and local communities. Trump's 2019 offer to buy Greenland was mocked, but the logic was clear. Control the minerals, control the future. Whoever secures Greenland's resources gains a major edge in the global tech and energy race. For Greenland, the right deal means a shot at self-sufficiency. For the world, it's a new front in the battle for critical minerals. The stakes are environmental, economic, and deeply strategic. So how did Canada win where the US failed? It came down to trust and respect. Canadian officials spent years building relationships in Nuuk, listening to Greenland's concerns. Their proposal promised not just money, but environmental safeguards, local jobs, and infrastructure. Canadian mining firms have a strong record with Indigenous communities and cold climate projects. This approach resonated with Greenlandic leaders who wanted a true partnership. In contrast, the US was seen as heavy-handed. Trump's buy the island pitch felt disrespectful. Even after Trump, American negotiators focused on quick deals, missing Greenland's desire for respect. Canada's vision, media, aerial view of Arctic cooperation projects, Canadian and Greenlandic flags flying together, environmental conservation efforts in the Arctic, shared prosperity, environmental stewardship, and Arctic cooperation. Greenland chose the partner who listened and who offered a future, not just a transaction. Canada didn't just win a contract, it won Greenland's confidence. The Canada-Greenland deal sent Trump into a public meltdown. On social media, he called it a total betrayal and blamed Biden for losing Greenland. Trump's outrage was personal. He saw himself as the only one who recognized Greenland's value. Watching Canada, a frequent rival, win the prize stung deeply. He ranted that Canada is laughing at us and claimed, "This would never have happened if I was president." Conservative media echoed his anger, framing the deal as proof of American decline. But this narrative ignores Greenland's agency. It made its own choice. Trump's worldview is transactional. Spot a valuable asset, acquire it. Canada's win shows the limits of that approach. Diplomacy with proud, independent nations requires more than money. It takes patience, respect, and real partnership. Trump's fury is the sound of old-school deal-making clashing with modern diplomacy. The world is moving on, and so is Greenland. This deal does more than secure minerals, it reshapes Arctic alliances. The US-Canada partnership has long dominated North America, but now a new Northern Triangle is emerging, Nuuk and Ottawa at the core, with Washington on the sidelines. Greenland is signaling a future more closely tied to Canada, especially on environmental and Indigenous issues. The US still has major interests in the Arctic, but a stronger Greenland-Canada alliance complicates its plans. Canada, still a US ally, now holds the keys to a vital resource frontier. Washington must negotiate with a more assertive Ottawa and Nuuk partnership. For Greenland, this is a diplomatic masterstroke, diversifying partners and asserting independence. The move boosts Greenland's leverage in future negotiations. The US-Canada relationship faces a new test, with friction beneath the surface. The Arctic is no longer quiet. It's a crowded, competitive arena. The balance of power is shifting fast. After the announcement, leaders chose their words carefully. Greenland's premier called it a partnership for Greenland's future, emphasizing sustainable development and local benefits. This is not a decision against anyone but for Greenland, he said. Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau hailed the deal as a win for both countries and the Arctic, highlighting jobs, supply chains, and Indigenous collaboration. He avoided any sense of triumph over the US, focusing on partnership. The White House response was muted. We respect Greenland's decision. Canada is a close ally. Behind the scenes, US officials scrambled to assess the fallout and plan next steps. Trump, meanwhile, insisted he could have made a fantastic deal if he were in charge. His imagined negotiations revealed his transactional mindset, offering hospitals and schools for minerals. But Greenland wanted respect, not just a deal. Canada's relationship-focused approach won the day. The message in the Arctic: partnership beats power plays. The economic impact is huge. Canada's mining sector soared, and the country is now a global leader in green energy minerals. Securing a non-Chinese source of rare earths makes Canada indispensable to North American and European industries. The US faces a missed opportunity, now reliant on Canada for critical minerals with less control and higher costs. American companies must adapt, and the government will scramble to develop domestic sources. Politically, the deal exposes a US vulnerability. Superpower status doesn't guarantee influence. The Biden administration must repair ties with Greenland and manage a more assertive Canada. The deal sends a message to China. The West is building alternative supply chains. Beijing may respond by seeking new deals or trying to undermine Canadian ventures. The Arctic is now a key front in the global competition for critical minerals. The stakes are higher than ever. What's next? The Greenland-Canada deal is just the beginning. The Arctic is now a stage for global competition, climate change, and economic opportunity. Major powers will ramp up efforts to gain influence and access resources. The US must rethink its Arctic strategy, moving from dominance to partnership. Real engagement means listening to local voices and offering shared prosperity. For Canada and Greenland, the hard work starts now, delivering on promises, protecting the environment, and setting a new standard for resource development. If they succeed, they'll set a precedent for the entire Arctic. This story is about shifting power, not just military or economic, but diplomatic. Greenland, with fewer than 60,000 people, has played its hand brilliantly. As Trump fumes and Washington recalibrates, the world sees that even small players can change the game. The future of the Arctic will be shaped by the partnerships built today. The race is on, and the world is watching. The next chapter is just beginning.